Welcome to a very special Sunday Sharpe Way. Yes, usually I don't do these on the weekends that much. I did a little thing yesterday, but it wasn't really Sharpe Way. Today, I've got a special Sharpe Way tonight. I want to talk about the stuff that's going on. I brought it up a little bit last week, but I got to cover a bit more. I have to talk about what's going on with the rioting. I've got to talk about what's going on with policing. I got to let you guys, I have to chat about this so that we understand what's going on here. And some of us don't, and I want to make sure that we do. But more importantly, I want to express what's really important, which you're probably not going to hear in most places. I don't want to deal with this rhetoric. I want to get you to understand. And if you think I'm going to say something cool, I am. Please like, comment, and share. Let people know this is going on. Let them all know. Have them come here so we can watch this and talk this out. And as always, I will talk about your comments. I will try to get back to you as I always do so that I can move forward. Look, when it comes to the death of George Floyd, obviously, I got to just be forward. Of course, it's horrible and it's terrible. I'm going to tell you something that you might think is crazy or weird or odd. But I don't want justice. I'm not joking. I don't want justice. What justice does, it's not helpful. It just validates a crappy system. It doesn't bring back George at all. It doesn't make anything better. I don't want justice. If his family wants justice, awesome. I hope they get it if they want it. But it's not going to bring back their loved one. It's not going to make things better. And we're going to be in the same place we are today. We're going to be in the same place 10 years from now. I also don't want blame. I don't care whose fault it is. I don't care. I know, again, sounds insane, but we can blame everyone. Point our finger. Oh, it's Trump's fault. It's China's fault. It's the cops' fault. It's the war on drugs' fault. It's everybody's fault. Let's blame everybody. Let's blame Amy Klobuchar. Let's blame everybody we want to blame. Blame makes us feel good. Point our finger and feel good. Doesn't bring back George. Doesn't make things better. We're in the same spot that we were 5, 10, 20 years ago. Nothing changes. I remember watching someone on CNN. I think it was Don Lemon saying, "This is unbelievable watching this happen." Where the hell were you in 92? This happened before. Happened in 68. Happens all the goddamn time. This is not crazy. This is what happens. Cities burn when you do stuff like this. It's what happens when there's no change. That's what happens. So I don't care about justice. I don't care about blame. I care about one thing: change. And this is going to fail again if we do the same thing we've been doing each and every single time. Getting upset about this and worrying about what do you condemn and what do you blah, blah, blah. And let's be righteous and shake our fist and blame this guy and blame that guy. Fine, blame them all. Good. You can feel righteous. Blame whoever you want. I want actually change. How do I do that? 4-step. We're going to do it right quick. And I said quick on purpose. Quick. 4 steps to begin actual change. QICC. Yes, it's a terrible way of spelling quick, but it's all I could think of in the last couple of hours when I was coming up with this. So that's what it is. It's right quick. QICC. Number 1, what you hear often and you got to keep hearing. We have to end qualified immunity. We have to end it. Now people say, oh, end it. That's the right answer. How the hell do you end it? There's a problem with qualified immunity. The courts don't want to touch it. Sometime in the 70s, was it 72? I forgot what year it was. I'm sure someone will show me, will tell me what year it was. The courts basically said, if you're law enforcement, you've got to do something so horribly bad for you to be convicted of anything. And we've kept that for decades. And the worst part now is that's part of our culture. So ending qualified immunity isn't enough. That's why it's 1 of 4. It's not enough. If we ended it tomorrow, our culture still says it's true because we've had it for so many decades. So how do we make it happen? We've got to push the Supreme Court to accept the cases that are coming up here. I think they're coming up this year, if not mistaken. So perfect timing. Push them. How? I need you. I need you too to tell your representatives to push to get the Supreme Court to say yes. I need you to talk about it all the time. Supreme Court has to take this. Let the courts have this. Let the Supreme Court decide that they think it's fine for cops to be special, for cops to be the elite, for cops to be better than everyone else. And I know some of you are saying, well, Larry, they should. They've got their life on the line and they're taking care of everything. Thank you, Pete says 72. Thank you. Appreciate that. I thought it was 72. I knew it was in the 70s. Yes. Well, they are special. Well, cops are special in a way. I get it. I mean, they have badges and stuff. I get that. Yeah, I get it. And they have tough jobs. Don't get me wrong. Tough jobs. Look, my father was in law enforcement. Tough job. But imagine if you could reverse it. Reverse it and make it even worse. Imagine if you would. Now it's not George Floyd. Instead, it's an off-duty cop. An active duty cop. It's an active duty cop. I don't care. It's an active duty cop, and he's drunk. And he's got his gun around. Now, of course, George did none of this. I'm making this up to make it even worse. I'm purposely making this worse. He has his gun flying around. I'm going to shoot people. He's drunk. And a couple guys grab him, throw him to the ground, and they put their knee on his neck. They use his cuffs and cuff him, and they're scared, and they call 911. And that cop dies from a knee on someone's neck. They're all going to jail. Guaranteed. There's not going to be any qualified immunity for that. Nope. All going to jail. Guaranteed. They're not getting murder 3. Imagine the reverse. It's a problem. A huge problem. So we've got to push to end qualified immunity, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Once we do that, we still have a culture issue. We still have a union issue. We still have a government having to pay out every time a cop does something wrong. There's a second piece of this. This is the I. Cops are professionals, and then because of that, each of them should hold their own liability insurance, like any other professional, like a doctor, like a lawyer, like anyone else has professional insurance. Each cop should have their own insurance. This guy who killed George, he had made errors many times, many mistakes, all the time. Absolutely horrible. Okay, so why didn't insurance rates go up? I'm not joking. But Larry, the unions will never allow that. Yeah, you will. Allow the unions to be insurance brokers or even to be insurance companies. Let them be an insurance broker. Guess what you'd have? Unions who would actually try to make better cops, so the cops are paying the premiums so they can make money. You would literally change the incentive of the union. The unions would naturally be incentivized to have better cops. But not just that. Right now, try to get a cop to get fired. They don't get fired. They resign. So when they resign, what happens? They resign and go find a job someplace else. So every bad cop just stays a bad cop, but someplace else. It's like the Catholic Church moving the bad priest around. That's what we have now. How about we shift the unions into protecting everybody, not just bad apples? And now if some guy or some gal is a bad cop, guess what? Their insurance rates go so high to the point where they can't be insured. Well, if they can't be insured, they can't be a cop anymore. It doesn't matter if you fire them or not. It doesn't matter. But more important, when a cop does something wrong, everyone around decides to fight them. All the people in the government do. Why? Because the government has to pay out for the person they hurt. How about instead the government doesn't have to anymore? Now the insurance company pays out. Now the government would actually have a vested interest in trying to find the truth. Right now, the government doesn't want to. Why would they? If they find the truth that this guy murdered or hurt somebody, they're going to have to write a huge check to them. 10, 20, 30, $40 million. You know how bad that is in New York State? Oh my God. Hundreds of millions of dollars being paid out in New York State every single year. Of course I wouldn't want my cops to be guilty of anything because I'm destroying my budget. But if the insurance company's paying, guess what? The government can actually be neutral on this. Not just that, since now the government doesn't have to fire the cop anymore if they're bad, the insurance company does it for them. All the government has to do with that state, local, whatever it is simply say, hey, you have to have insurance. Oh, you don't? I guess you're gone. No employment issues. No union fights. It all goes away. Qualified immunity goes away through Supreme Court. Now all local law enforcement officers have to carry their own insurance. This can be done at the local level. New York City, New York State, insert your city, your town, sheriff's department. You decide. This can be done immediately. Immediately. And as this happens, what begins to happen? The whole culture changes, and I get change. If George Floyd's family wants justice, go get justice. I'm in. But it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is change. I don't want George Floyd's death to be another name that we talk the next time some guy or gal is strangled, the next time some brother in Staten Island is choked to death again. I don't want that. You know what I want? I want George Floyd's name to be linked with, this was the time when things began to change. And it can be done. Like that. This is literally can be done next week. This can be done. And I'm still not done. Next step. I said it was quick. Q, I, and then 2 C's. The next C. Take cannabis off Schedule 1. Period. Just take it off. Just take it off. That's it. This is executive order. Can be done tomorrow. Literally, Trump could do it tomorrow. Take cannabis off Schedule 1. Why? This is the beginning of the end of the war on drugs. Once you take cannabis off Schedule 1, that's the first domino that has to fall for it all to fall. That's it. Just start there. Can be done literally tomorrow. You can do this. We can start this now. And the rest will begin to come. That's all you have to do. Don't change a law. Change no laws. Don't go through Congress. Nothing. Just take cannabis off Schedule 1. Doing that now begins the war on drugs. It begins the end of the war on brown entrepreneurship throughout poor communities. It stops cops from going in and choking people out. It also allows states and counties to start releasing nonviolent drug offenders. It gives them the impetus to begin this entire thing. It begins this impetus to end this entire thing. And the war on drugs is the beginning of all of this. That's the militarism. That's the pain. That's where it begins. Let's start ending that. The last of the 4. End civil asset forfeiture. No more. And you do this very simply. This is also a very simple rule. Can be done at a local level or a national, any way you want. You simply say, you don't change any laws. No laws yet. You should change it because it's blatantly in violation of the Constitution. But obviously no one cares about that. Otherwise it would have been gone a long time ago. But all you do is simply make a cap on how much money any county or state may take from civil asset forfeiture. And that cap is something like $100. I'm not joking. $100. That's all you can take. $100. Everything else has to go back. What did you just do? You just defunded the war on drugs, and you just de-incentivized people from hunting in poor communities. You de-incentivized people from hunting in poor communities, and you just defunded the war on drugs. Done. Do those 4 things. Quick. QICC. End qualified immunity. Law enforcement officers carry their own personal insurance like any professional. Take cannabis off Schedule 1 and civil asset forfeiture. 4, and you're done. All the other crap you hear is useless. It is rhetoric. It is just everyone trying to fight. It is nothing. It means zero. If we don't come up with an actual policy, an actual plan to fix this, this will be the same as Occupy Wall Street, which again, for some of you who were there, I know you're upset, was useless. It spent tons of time in my city trashing stuff, and then there was no change whatsoever. There was no recovery. The 99% didn't get what they wanted. The 1% still got what they wanted. It changed nothing. Why? Because there was no leadership and there was no actual goals. Well, I have an idea. Let's have some leadership and some goals. The sad part is we have virtually no leadership. All we have is people saying, well, just stop the violence. You've been saying that for 40 years. Well, MLK wasn't violent, and they shot him to death. Boy, that worked, didn't it? Didn't it? So how about stop telling me to come together and plan and do that? How about instead give me a plan to fix this so we don't have to do this again 10 years from now or 5 years from now? And then the amount of anger that I get and I see from all of these leaders You put us here. There is no way we could have gone to this level of rioting and anger and pain and burning if you didn't lock us up in our house for a stupid COVID virus for the past 3 months. Of course we went out and burned shit. We had nothing else to do. We've been sitting in our houses for 3 months. If you would have let us be human beings and let us deal with things ourselves, you try to protect us, and when you protect us, you kill us. If you treat your citizens like you are an occupying force in Afghanistan, your citizens will act like they are citizens of Afghanistan. If you treat us like Afghanistan, you will get Afghanistan. So don't do that. Don't do that. I am so upset about the leaders just saying stop. How about stop because I have a plan? How about relax? I hear you. Here's a plan. No, just stop. Don't fight. Blah, blah, blah. And then we get mad. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people should riot. I'm never going to say they should. Never should people riot. I just understand why they do. So stop acting so surprised. Stop acting so angry. Stop. Stop acting like all the cops are so goddamn heroic. They're not heroic. They've got all the guns. They've got all the weapons. They have all the military gear. They have all the assault weapons. They have all the assault vehicles. The people in the streets, they got bottles of piss and masks. And the cops are heroic. Stop. Stop that worship. Cops are human beings like everybody else. They're not better, worse, they're the same. They're trying to do a job, and you have them in a crappy environment, and that's why they act crappy. Let's change the environment. You have a racist system. Yes, I said it. It's a racist system. So, of course, they act racist. You got a war on drugs that teaches them to hunt in poor brown and black communities. So what do? They hunt in poor brown and black communities. Why wouldn't they? You've taught them to for the past 40 years. Of course they do it. You've taught them that that's the way they should act. So they do. I'm not condoning the riots. I'm just saying I understand them. And to act so shocked and surprised and to act so upset is to be completely disingenuous. You know why they're rioting, and so do I. And so does every single leader out there who tries to act above the fray. I have a question. Where the hell you been 10 years? Where you been? Now you're going to step up and do something? Where have you been? Why haven't you ended qualified immunity 5, 10, 20 years ago? Why didn't you? You sat there doing nothing, screaming and yelling about garbage, keeping yourself in power, and now your city burns and now you're mad. I don't know. Do something. How about that? Don't get mad at me. And don't act like your cops are perfect. They're clearly not. If they were perfect, we wouldn't have cities on fire, would we? We wouldn't have cops running people over, literally. In New York City, running people over. That's heroic. Or in Minnesota, the guard shooting people in their homes. That's heroic, right? Stop. Just stop. Cops are humans. Non-cops are humans. This worship has got to end. It's got to end. Set up a system to adjust and shift and change. And here's the most important piece. Cops, and if any of you happen to know cops or happen to be watching, guard, nothing changes until you change. If you don't change, it doesn't change. It doesn't change unless you change. And the next time your captain tells you to fire on civilians, don't. Think it's time for your weapon to jam. Maybe it's time for you to drop your weapon. Maybe you can't hear your captain. I know. I was a Marine. I know you want to follow your captain. And I know that when I was 19, and if they had put me into America to defend a city against other Americans, I might have. But I do know if this has happened, and I was in the Guard now, even at 19, 20 years old, and my captain tells me fire on civilians, my weapon's going to jam. I can't hear that, captain. I'm sorry. Sorry, I can't hear that order. What are you saying? I can't hear you. I got must be something in my ears. I can't hear. I'm not following that order. And I'm asking you, officers, if you're told to follow that order, time to resign. Time to walk away. Time to walk away. You cannot treat your own country like Afghanistan. This is not Afghanistan. If you treat it as such, you will turn it into Afghanistan. I don't want to live in Afghanistan. If I did, I'd pack up and move to Afghanistan. I don't want to live here. Cops, you got to stop. Just got to stop. National Guard, you got to stop. You have to stop. If you don't stop, this doesn't stop. We as civilians have to change this environment because you're in our environment. We made this environment for you. We did. Our fault. And you might get mad at me and go, Larry, I didn't vote for this. Yeah, so what? We all did. We all sat back and watched it happen. So now here's where we are. Now we're on the brink of becoming Afghanistan. That's where we are now. Because of this. We have to stop this. All right. I want to talk about the most important thing of all of this. Distraction. There is so much distraction out there. I cannot tell you how much distraction there is out there. It's everywhere. And I'm going to start bringing it up and I'm going to ask you, it doesn't matter if what these people say is true or not. Do not let it distract you from the 4 points we talked about. Ending qualified immunity. Getting law enforcement officers to hold their own insurance. Getting cannabis off Schedule 1. And ending, without question, ending civil asset forfeiture. Everything else is distraction. And there's lots of it. 1, there was an officer killed. I get it. I don't want that officer to be killed. That's terrible. And for the people who lost that officer, it's terrible. It's terrible. And I still want my 4 things. I still want it. Otherwise, more officers will be killed. Of course they will. Antifa is part of this in some way, shape, or form. I don't care if they are. Maybe they are. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's Antifa. So what? Who cares? Did Antifa jump on board and take advantage of something? Probably. So what? End qualified immunity. Get law enforcement officers to have insurance. Cannabis off the Schedule 1. End civil asset forfeiture. Well, the alt-right is in and the Nazis are in. I don't care. Maybe they are. So they are. Good. I don't care. So what? End qualified immunity. Get law enforcement officers to have their own insurance. Get cannabis off Schedule 1. End civil asset forfeiture. Do not be distracted by this. I don't care. The space flight stuff, because they interrupted TV to show space flight stuff while our cities are on fire. I don't care. Distraction. China and Hong Kong. Hong Kong, terrible. We got it worse here. Do not allow that. Or the people doing, well, Duncan Lemp got killed. Yeah, so what? I got it. I feel bad for him too. And end qualified immunity. Get law enforcement officers to have their own insurance. Take cannabis off Schedule 1 and civil asset forfeiture. Or the one that's they're floating now. Well, these people are crossing state lines to go on riots, a federal offense. So insanely stupid. I want to vomit when I hear this stupidity. Another reason to put people in jail. Who cares? Let's make change. Do not be distracted by these unnecessary things. I don't care if you believe them or if they're true. They may be, any of the things I said may be important, they may be true, may be real, and they're all distraction. They're all ways of getting you to go off on something else, ignore the problems that we actually have, and think, yeah, just fine. Let's just go back to normal. And then 10 years, we're in the same spot we were, and we're rioting again, and there's pain again. I don't want this again. Don't allow that. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Larry, it's not a race issue. It's a cop issue. It is a cop issue. And it's a race issue. Stop acting like it's not. And the reason why I want you to stop acting like it's not, I know why some of you are saying it's not about race. You're showing up, well, Duncan Lemp or whatever. It's not that. It's white people get killed too. I understand, because when someone says race issue, if you're white, you probably feel, well, you're calling me a racist. I'm not. At all. I'm not. A system can be racist. A system can create people acting in ways that is completely racist and can encourage racists and can encourage racism without you being racist. It's not an attack on you. It's an attack on a racist system that comes back from hundreds of years and is still to this day. The war on drugs was response to the Civil Rights Act of the 60s. It's a fact. If you think I'm making it up, it's a total fact. It's the way it works. Nixon said he wanted to take care of the blacks and the Puerto Ricans. That's why he created the war on drugs. That's what created the entire piece. All this stuff. Gun control was all about the Black Panthers. It was all that stuff. The system is racist. It encourages racists. It encourages racism. It doesn't make you racist. You can just go, yeah, that's a racist system, Larry. You're right. Let's change it. Let's change it. How can we change this racist system? I know. End qualified immunity. Get law enforcement officers to cover their own insurance. Take cannabis off Schedule 1. End civil asset forfeiture. And you will begin. That's the beginnings of ending a racist system. That's all it is. That's it. But Larry, they hurt white people too. They do shoot white people too. Yeah. But they choke out black people. I want you to understand that. They choke out and execute black people. Well, why does that matter? Why is my neighbor shot or choked? Because of our culture of lynching. Do you understand how brutal choking someone out is? How brutal lynching is? Well, people have been hanged forever. Yeah, but when you hang somebody by the neck, you put it on the side. Trapdoor opens, they fall, neck snaps, dead. When you lynch someone, it goes in the back. And you literally choke the person out and you watch them die like an animal. Like an animal. Like I'm wringing the neck of a cat. That's what choking out someone is. And every time a cop, someone of authority, chokes out a black man, it brings back that cultural horribleness of lynching, which was done on purpose, publicly, to dehumanize and destroy the black community. And it was done to men on purpose. Women and kids too, but almost always to men, as a message to all of them. Don't be too uppity, or this happens to you. Your rights don't matter. That is a cultural legacy that every person of color who's a descendant of slaves understands and feels whenever that happens. If you don't understand that, I'm not mad at you. Maybe you don't come from that. And I'm okay with that. Maybe you don't. I'm asking you to not be culturally deaf. That's what I'm asking you to do. Don't be culturally deaf. Just go, okay, you know what? I don't get that. That's bad. I'll be quiet. Do your thing. I'm okay with that. You don't have to jump on my side. It's fine. You can just go do your own thing. But I don't need you acting like there's no difference between a cop choking out a black man and a cop shooting a white guy. There's a difference. And not just that. They kill black people at twice the rate. Twice the rate. The data's in, guys. Do your homework. Data's in. It's the system. Let's end the system that supports racist. Let's end the system that encourages racism. Let's do that. It doesn't make you a racist if you agree with me. It's okay. You don't have to be a racist. You're not. I don't know you, but I'm going to say you're not. If it makes you feel better, I'm absolving you. You're not. Let's just fix the system. I don't want to blame anybody. I don't care. I don't want justice. I don't want blame. I want change. I want this better. I want to never have to say this shit again. That's what I want. I want to never say this again. In fact, I'll take all the blame. My fault. I don't want my daughters to see this anymore. My oldest daughter was so broken up by this. So broken up. Young, seeing it, hurtful, saying, what are we doing? Has it not changed? Has it not changed? Don't let this distraction do this. And I have to say this because sadly, I can't even see black leaders taking this up. Trump is completely tone deaf. He's culturally deaf. Quoting segregationists from the South in the 60s, talking about sticking the dogs on the protesters. How culturally deaf can you be? I don't actually think he knew what he was saying. I mean, maybe he did, but I don't think he did. I think he's just so culturally deaf, he had no clue. So don't say anything then. Just say nothing. Nothing's better than that, right? Obama didn't do anything. He didn't pull anyone off Schedule 1. He didn't stop qualified immunity. He didn't fix law enforcement. He just had beers with cops because he wanted to worship them. That's what Obama did, so he's no better. You think he would know? You think he'd say something? Bush didn't do anything. Clinton didn't do anything. None of them. None of them. Maybe I do want to blame people. Let's blame the last 8 presidents. Let's do that. Let's blame the last 8 presidents who sat on this and did squat when they could have fixed it and did nothing. I know some of you love Obama. Some of you love Trump who are watching. I know, but they're just as guilty. All of them. They did nothing. They sat back and did nothing. Nothing at all. I wouldn't do that. And half our black leaders are. The mayor of Chicago is embarrassing. Embarrassing. I got Killer Mike talking about respect for police and then saying that we have to unite and what? Unite and vote Democrat? That's the answer? Because Obama and Clinton was so much better than Bush and Trump? Because they fixed it. Now it's solved. Just vote Democrat. No. I'll give a plug for the only movement, for the only party, for the only group that would have fixed this in the last 50 years. And that's the Liberty Movement and the Libertarian Party. We've been talking about this garbage for 50 years. We've been talking about it. Yelling and screaming rhetoric. I'm done with rhetoric. I'm giving you real plans. I just gave you one. And I'm not going to stop talking about it because that's the answer. We do this. We have a shot at making real impact. 100% real impact. I want to show you something. This is a picture from a movie. One of my favorite movies is Gandhi. And we talk about nonviolent protest. Nonviolent protest. And for those of you people who get upset about the violence, nonviolent protest, and some of you may have seen this before, it's a part where in the movie Gandhi, based upon, I think the 1920s or 30s, the Indians are going against a British-owned assault works. And watch what they do here. They're marching up. They are completely nothing on them, no weapons. They walk right up to the assault works. Say, we're going to walk in and take our assault works because we are Indians and it's ours, not British. And they are hammered and smashed and hit. And what do? They keep coming. They keep coming. That's heroic. And the people can't believe it. They look at it and go, what's going on? Why do they keep walking into these people, hitting them, smashing them in the face, and they keep coming? They get hit in the head with a stick, smashed, and they just walk into it and walk into it. That's heroic. That is heroic. That is heroic. And watch it as they smack them and hit them and beat them. That's heroic. And eventually, the press has to go in. As they beat them, and the press actually starts talking about it.
And on into the night.
And he's talking about how important it is in the press season. It's valuable.
And broken bodies from the road.
Why would I bring this up? The reason why I bring this up is because here is New York City cops that we will find so many people say so heroic. Here you go. People on the right, they've got nothing. Oh no, they're throwing water bottles and garbage. Oh my God, water bottles and plastic cones. How terrible. These people and these cops, they're only in a car by themselves. And what do they decide to do? Run over people. That's heroic. That's heroic. That's not heroic. That's horrible. Stop worshiping cops. They're just people. They get scared. They get upset. They do stupid things. They should pay for their mistakes just like we do. No difference. No difference. See the National Guard? Here's a National Guard. You'll love this one. Here is a National Guard. Humvees, armored Humvees. National Guard walking up.
They just keep coming.
These are kids sitting out. Yelling, get inside. Yelling.
Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go!
Hear that?
Light them up!
Light them up.
Get in the house!
They fired on Americans like we're in Afghanistan.
Get in.
Like we're in Afghanistan. This is where we are now. This is where we are now. Why do you think I'm saying this? Stop. Don't let anyone distract you from all the garbage. Antifa, alt-right, officer being killed, Hong Kong, space flight, Duncan Lamp crossing state lines. Garbage means nothing. This is what matters. And here's the leadership we get. Hold on. Here's the mayor of Chicago. So this is the leadership that we get. We got Trump, who has no idea, who's talking about releasing dogs and doing that kind of stuff. He's releasing dogs and gonna start the shooting when the looting starts. He thinks he's George Wallace from Georgia or wherever George Wallace, I think it was from Georgia, right? George Wallace from the 60s. He thinks that's what he's doing, right? And here is our illustrious mayor of Chi-Town.
I watched as protesters hurled not just words, but projectiles at our police department.
Poor defenseless police officers with their riot gear and armored vehicles. Someone threw water at them. Jesus, you'd think they maybe killed somebody or something. Oh, wait, they did. They did.
Bottles of water, urine, and Lord knows what else.
Probably like soda.
I saw protesters armed with shovels, bats
and shovels,
hammers, and metal pipes.
Jesus Christ, terrible.
Now,
shoot them all.
To be clear, I've marched in a few protests in my day.
Because you're hardcore.
But neither I nor anyone that I was ever with saw the need to bring weapons.
And how'd that work out for you? We still have black men being choked out in the streets. We got death in your city. Black men dying in your city in your horrible war on drugs, which you've done nothing about, for decades. So stop being self-righteous. You're a failure. You're showing terrible leadership. You should be embarrassed. And the sad part is most Americans are still thinking, I've got to vote left or right. You get Trump or you get her. That's lose-lose. That's lose-lose. Trump or her. I'll take nobody. Noda all the way. She's upset and worried.
In order to lift up our voices and express our First Amendment
How long are we going to lift
rights.
our voices up for? A year? 20 years? 40 years?
Now, I want to give praise to those here in Chicago and
Tell me.
across the nation
Who
who
did
have come
nothing.
together peacefully
Because that's what matters.
to express their righteous anger and their grief and to make their voices heard.
For what? Like Occupy Wall Street? My voices are heard so that no one listens? Because I have to, in your view, because you're in charge, and here, some of you will be angry at me. I know you will. I know you'll be angry, but I don't care. I'm tired of so many people that when they get into power, all of a sudden, everybody's got to shut up and sit down. Oh, see, I'm here now, so shut up and sit down. But when the other person was here now, I'm ready. You don't tell me how to protest. If someone would have told her how to protest then, she'd been the first person yelling and screaming. But now she's in charge. So now it's okay. Now, what? She's not going to give us rules on how to protest? This is our fault, though, because we took it from COVID. They put us in our homes and told us we can't leave because of a virus. And then after that, now they're saying, well, you know what? You can't leave at all. I'm bringing the guard in because we will just dominate you and you will lick our boots or not. Horrible.
As is their First Amendment right.
Oh, yeah, when you say so.
But I want to express my
Go ahead.
disappointment and really my total disgust
Disgust.
at the number of others who came to today's protest armed.
I wanted you to hear what this woman just said. She called people. Now, Martin Luther King Jr., I'm going to mess his quote up, but it's something like, a riot is the words of the unheard or the language of the unheard or something like that. MLK, Mr. Peace Guy, said, I get riots. He didn't like riots, but he got it. He didn't think disgust. He thought, I get it. God damn it, nothing's getting better. You're just so desperate. You're just so scared. You're just so upset. But she's disgusted. She's disgusted. What is wrong with you? What have you done? Who are you? Why are you disgusted? You should be disgusted at us because we've gone down this road so bad that now this is the answer that our cities are on fire. Why are you so upset and disgusted? You should be as disgusted at us as a group. We did this, all of us. not just the few people. So the few bad apples who are rioting, they're horrible. But the few bad cops, let's go worship cops.
You don't come to a peaceful protest with bottles of urine to throw at police officers.
Oh, because we worship them.
I applaud the vast majority of the individuals who.
Now, hold on. You can't go, to be clear, her words, you can't go to a protest with bottles of urine, but the cops can go literally with tear gas, bear mace, and rubber bullets. That's fine. Yeah, they can go to a peaceful protest with tear gas, rubber bullets, and bear mace. But don't you dare bring a bottle of water. Oh, disgusted in you. How could you do that? Disgusted. Her and all the other mayors and governors that literally destroyed tens of thousands of businesses because of this COVID response. They will never come back. Gone. Livelihoods crushed beyond repair for some people. What if you're 50 or 60 or 70 and you lost your business? You're not building that back up. You're done. Gone. And she's mad because protesters broke windows, which is bad. You shouldn't break windows. I got it. But insurance is going to pay for the broken windows. Insurance is going to pay for the burning buildings. Insurance will pay for that. Who's going to pay for the people who are out of their jobs now? Who's going to pay for the tens of thousands of companies that are gone? You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that? You're not. Insurance will pay for those things. As bad as it is, I want to be clear. This isn't black and white. I'm not condoning violence. I'm saying stop acting so goddamn shocked. Stop acting disgusted. Oh my God, you could throw water at cops. Meanwhile, cops come with bear mace, rubber bullets, and tear gas, and armored cars, and riot gear. And they shoot at civilians in their homes, in their own property. But this you're disgusted about. Stop. Jesus.
Who came here to make true and lasting change peacefully.
When? Where's the true and lasting change? Where's your plan? I gave you mine. I gave you a 4-point plan that you could have enacted 10 years ago. So I talked about long-lasting change. You're talking about going back, being quiet, shut up, go back to your house. And that's long-lasting change. Go back to your house.
But to the rest of you, I'm here to call you out.
Yeah, I'm here to call you
for
out.
Your recklessness.
Your recklessness.
And for your obscene disrespect to the
Obscene.
righteous cause that you are trying to hijack. When you or anyone behaves in this way,
when you
we
dare
all
do that,
lose.
we all lose.
By giving the
God.
very same.
We don't all lose, because here's something that many of you will not understand. And I have to say this, and again, this is a racial issue. And it will make some of you upset. I know I don't usually bring up race. I don't usually do it. But sometimes it's damn appropriate. So I'll bring it up this time. What you have to realize is throughout our culture, it's a cultural issue. Throughout our culture, for Black Americans to get change, they had to absorb the violence. They had to absorb the violence of the white establishment. And that sounds horrible, I know, and some of you get upset by that and don't like the way that sounds. It's true. Look in the 60s. What happened? They had to absorb dogs, fighting, lynching, water, fire hoses, all those things. And then the white establishment had to do that. And then the average white person looked at it and went, is this what they're doing in our name? They're doing this in our name? I didn't know. Jesus Christ, I didn't think they were doing this in our name. They saw it on TV in the 60s, and things began to change openly then. That's when all of a sudden people said, oh my God, I didn't know they were doing that. And when that begins, and that's what's happening now. This is what's happening now. They're looking and go, oh my God, is this what we're still doing? Are we still choking Black men to death in the streets? Are we still doing that? Oh my God. And now we're fighting? Yeah. Yell and scream. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Insurance will pay for the damage done by these riots. It's bad, but it's not the end of the world. It's not black and white. It's a pun intended. It's not black and white. It's gray. But the damage that they did from COVID, that's gone. No one's paying for that. That's just over. So stop with this. And how was she feeling? By the way, how was she feeling when people were fighting for her rights? Was it okay then? Go ahead. Keep going. Uh-oh. Uh-huh. Yep. That's how she ends it. She says, you know what? All these bad people, by the way, get back in your house and we're going to enforce it. I'm going to show you how powerful I am. This is her. Well, Larry, what would you do? I do the opposite. I would do the opposite. If I was a mayor or a governor and this was happening, I would call all of my troops off. All of them. Go home. You're all on vacation for 2 days. Go home. I don't want the National Guard. Don't come into my town. Don't come into anything. And then I go out there and I meet the people and I say, God damn it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have fixed this and I didn't. I get you're angry. Please, I'm not going to fight you. Please go home. And I promise you, I will have a plan by tomorrow to fix this because God damn it, you're right. You're right. That's what a leader does. Not this. Not I'm going to give you a curfew because I can. Because I've been crushing you forever. No. I get it. My cops screwed up. They did. Sorry. God damn it, I'm sorry. I should have had a plan to fix this, and I didn't. That's my fault. I will fix this. I will make it better. I will make George Floyd's name be synonymous with real change. And this won't happen again, or goddamn, it'll happen a whole lot less. You will see that happen. That's what a leader does, not this garbage. We're going to put you back in your house. Because you know what always works? Violence. That always makes things better. She just said, don't be violent. Then she forced violence. She literally said, and I'll enforce it. See her strength in that? What's wrong with you people for being violent? Only I get to be violent, not you. Does she know she's black? I don't think she knows. I don't think she knows. I don't know what she's doing. How about some empathy? I seem to have it somehow. Why can't she? How about some empathy? How about some responsibility? How about a plan to fix this? I don't want justice. I don't want blame. I want change. I'm telling you, our leadership is failing us again and again and again. How about a simple, I screwed up. I'm sorry. Here's a plan to fix it. Let's make this work. Let's move forward together. How about when I ask you to go back home to your house, not order you, when I ask you to go back home to your house, when I do that, I say, trust me, give me X period of time and I'll give you something to work on and we'll start making this work. I don't just yell and scream, go back and we'll protest. What's going to happen? Nothing. Think of all the protests we've done in the past. What's changed? Remember how we fought against the Iraq war? We were a million of people going to march in the street. What happened? We're still fighting in overseas. We're still fighting. We're still fighting in Afghanistan. We're still fighting in Syria. That ended, right? That worked? No. This can work. With real leadership, we don't have any. I'm hoping you guys see what I'm trying to say. I'm just hoping you guys see what I'm trying to say. All right. If I could, I'm going to try to go through some of these questions. I've yapped away forever. I know I have, and I apologize for talking so much. It is my piece. I'm just going to try to answer some of these questions. All right. Hold on. Wow, there's so many. I don't think I can answer all of them. I do appreciate it. So some people are asking to recap. Okay, I will recap. If you guys came in late, there's an actual plan. I'm calling it QICC. QICC. This is how we actually make the first steps to actually make this better and fix this so we don't have it again in the future. Number one, I want us to end qualified immunity. And that's at the Supreme Court level right now. It's on its way up there. We got to start telling people right now, talking about it. End it. What qualified immunity does, it basically says, there's a lot of stuff, but it basically says, unless a cop does something so obviously bad, he or she is not guilty. Is what it basically says. Let's change that. Cops are humans. They're like us. They're just people trying to do the right thing to the best of their ability in a crappy system. Let's stop treating them like they're gods and special. They're not. They're people like us. That's it. End that. But that's not enough because SCOTUS doesn't want to deal with it. SCOTUS has been abandoning, pushing it off forever. SCOTUS doesn't want to mess with the cops, and it should. We have to push our people to tell them, SCOTUS, you got to take this. You got to get rid of qualified immunity. It should end. But it's not enough. because we've had culture of it. It happened in, Pete told me it happened in 1972. So we've done it for 50 years now? For 50 years, we've had it. So we've created a second-class system, a higher system for cops for 50 years. That's in our culture. So even if this ends, it doesn't end because culturally we're still there. We still think cops are better. As a culture, that is. We still think cops are important. We still care about them more. We still are impressed by them more. That's still true in our culture. So it's not enough. We still have unions, city payouts, all that stuff. So second piece, got to have law enforcement officers. Number 2, that's the I. So Q is qualified immunity. I is insurance. Law enforcement officers, like all professionals, should carry their own insurance. Their own insurance, their own liability insurance. Like a doctor does, a lawyer does, doesn't matter. You have your own insurance. And every police force simply says, if you want to be a cop, you have to have insurance. That's it. You keep screwing up, guess what winds up happening? You can't get insurance anymore. When you can't get insurance, you're gone. You can't be a cop anymore because you keep screwing up. But not just that. Guess what happens? When you do something dumb or you make a mistake, insurance pays, not your local city or state. Which means the city or state actually has an incentive to get to the truth and not cover it up because they got to pay out $10 million, which is it's in their best interest to cover it up. They don't want to bust their budget. Literally hundreds of millions of dollars go out every single year in New York State on stuff like this. Every year, hundreds of millions of dollars. So end that, but I'm still not done. Well, unions will stop it. Let unions be brokers or let unions be insurance companies. Then it's another form of revenue for them, and it would then incentivize the union to not simply try to take care of terrible and bad cops, but instead to make the best cops possible so they can keep paying insurance premiums. In fact, the union might be training cops better, helping cops more. Yeah, once you're a bad cop, you can't pay for your insurance. You're not valuable anymore. Bye. It changed the incentive of the unions now too. So even that works better. It makes every single thing better. Also now what happens with cops is once they screw up, they resign. They don't get fired, they resign. So once they resign, they go to some other police department and they're a bad cop, and they now go to the next police department and become a bad cop. Lastly, cops want to support each other. So one cop doesn't want to be the one to fire the other cop or hurt the other one. They don't want to. Insurance takes care of that, right? As people put in the claims, insurance company goes, you're bad, you're gone. You can still support your partner. Doesn't change at all. So first is the Q, which is end qualified immunity. Second is insurance, allowing enforcing law enforcement officers to have their own insurance. And that can be done not at SCOTUS level. That's not a Supreme Court level. That's a local issue. You can do that next week. You can change that coming up here. Absolutely. Change it at the local level. Begin that whole process. The first is 2 C's, quick is QICC. I know weak, but the best I had. Second, the first C is take cannabis off of Schedule 1. That's just a presidential order. Off. Done. Can be done tomorrow. You take cannabis off of Schedule 1, you've just began the end of the war on drugs, which is where half of this at least comes from. Right? Starts in the war on drugs, allowing people to hunt in poor and brown and black communities, immigrant communities. That's where this racism begins to come in. That's what creates the racist system that now supports racists and encourages racism is what a system does. Right? And again, I know many people don't want to get the race issue. And if you're white, you may feel awkward about it. I get it. I'm not calling you a racist. You can say that this is a racist system without thinking that you are racist. It's not your system. It's our system that we have to fix. I'm as guilty as you are in this. I'm happy to take more guilt. I don't care about blame or justice. I want change. You can blame me personally if you want to. I'm okay with that. Let's have change. So take cannabis off of Schedule 1. Immediately begins to do that, ends the war on drugs, begins the end of the war on drugs, begins the war on entrepreneurship in the poor communities, and more importantly, begins the system to start. It allows for local people, local states and counties to release people from jail and from prison for nonviolent crimes. It increases that and encourages that. And the second C is ending civil asset forfeiture. QICC, civil asset forfeiture. Once you end that, that could be Supreme Court. Presidential action. It's clearly against the Constitution, clearly, but whatever, end it, whatever. This ends the incentive of the war on drugs, right, to get the money, and it defunds it. You do it very simple. You just put a cap on how much any local department or county or state can get from civil asset forfeiture. You say, $100. That's all you can get. Nothing more. That's all you can get, $100. Once that happens, there's no more incentive to hunt. So the cops will stop hunting. you will begin to reverse all of this. This will still take decades. I wish it would happen tomorrow, but it will end. And if we start it now, that's the first step, and you'll watch it's the first domino to fall, and the rest will start falling. We can talk about make it work. The problem we have here is you have people who are angry, who want to be heard, but there's no leadership and no plan. This is Occupy Wall Street all over again. Occupy Wall Street had no plan and no leadership and did nothing. This will do exactly the same thing. Nothing. The leadership right now is simply saying, stop fighting, go back home, and we'll make things better by magic somehow. And we'll go back to what it was. And we won't, or we will, and it'll just be that bad. It will change nothing. How do I know that? Rodney King. Same thing. Rodney King. Same thing. Trayvon Martin. Goes on and on and on and on and on. Nothing changes. The 1968 riots in Watts. We've been doing this for 50 years. What are we going to learn? Leadership plus a plan, and we fix this. So, yes. See, this is the problem. Vote her out. That's what Killer Mike said. Killer Mike said that. Killer Mike said, we got to get planned and vote people out. No, what Killer Mike means is voting Democrats. That's what Killer Mike means. I like Killer Mike. I think I like his music. I like what he does on Netflix. I love his stuff. I do. He's just blatantly wrong here. He's like, let's just get Bernie Sanders to win. What would he for Democrats? Democrats are no better. What, was Obama so awesome compared to Trump? Well, in this issue, some cases he was better. Some cases he wasn't. But in this issue, no better. What, was Clinton any better? Was Bush any better? No. This plan that I literally made up today, any of them could have made up in the past 40 years. And none of them did. Why? Because none of them care. Because now they're in charge. And once they're in charge, I tell you how to protest. Once they're in charge, we have to love our law enforcement and worship them like gods. That's the problem. So voting on it's not going to work, Bill. I wish it would. Unless a libertarian's running. Because for the past 40 years, libertarians have been talking about this. The liberty movement has been talking about this. No one else has. Thank you for that. All right. She's disgusted with the police because they came to the protest armed. Yeah, see, she's not disgusted with the police. I wish she was. She's disgusted with the people because the people came with bottles of water and urine, yet the cops came with everything else. The police came armed. That's the problem. I love that. All right. Who loves Larry a little bit more right now? I hope you do, because I love you all, of course. Yes. Take cannabis off Schedule 1. Absolutely, I agree. Why are you not disgusted by the violence? I'll tell you why, Mike. I'll tell you why. Because the violence is in response to violence. And the violence that's happening right now is bad violence. Don't get me wrong. It's bad. I'm not disgusted by it. Because the violence happening now, that violence is going to be paid for by insurance. But the violence the government has put on us for the past 3 months, that just destroys us. There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from the cultural damage they've done. There's no coming back from the livelihood damage they've done, from the emotional damage they've done. How are people going to get out of this? How are they going to break out of this whole mold? The idea that they can just lock us down like nothing. That mayor just said blatantly, Chicago mayor, you all can't go out at 9 o'clock anymore. That's worse than, that violence is worse than anything the protesters did. So I'm far more disgusted by her violence and by every governor's violence, Republican or Democrat, I don't care which one, than by people who are mad and break windows that will eventually be paid by insurance. So I'm not disgusted by that. I'm angered by it. It's wrong. Not disgusted. I'm disgusted by what the government's doing. Far worse. Not even close. That's why. All right. MLK said riots were wrong and counterproductive. Yes, he was against it, but he wasn't disgusted by it. You're right, Nathan. I'm agreeing. He was not pro-riot. I agree. But he understood it. And this is the key aspect. If we don't show empathy and just understand and go, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. If you at least understand it and don't just dismiss it and don't just respond with more violence. And that's what we're doing. We're responding with more violence. When you respond with more violence, you reinforce the fact that riots are counterproductive. So let's instead stop it. Don't do violence. Instead, talk. And now when people go in the streets next time, they won't get so aggressive. They're aggressive because the cops are out there aggressive. This is kind of, ever watch the Netflix show Waco? The guy who's a hostage negotiator, right? He talks about this. The more weapons you bring, the more chance there's more violence. The more aggression you bring, the more chance there's more violence. Let the protesters go out there and not be violent, and you'll watch how there'll be less violence. All right. Movie quote: "The army is a broadsword, not a scalpel. Trust me, Senator. Do not want the army in American cities." Yeah. Yes. And we just threw it right in, didn't we? Thank you, Barclay. Exactly right. 100%. Yes. Let's see if I can grab this one. Who comes to protest armed? The cops. That's who. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Please, God, no, please cover. Yeah, okay. Good. All right. I love this pure line. I don't mean to have fury, guys. I don't mean to. I want you to hear what I'm saying because people are going to ask you about it. People are going to want to talk about it. And the biggest thing I want you to realize is they're going to try to distract you with other stuff. It's going to be based on truth. And when they do that and they throw this distraction at you, I don't want you to get caught. I want you to get back on track. We've got to make real change. I don't care if it's Antifa or the alt-right or look at China, Hong Kong, or look at the space flight today, or look at Duncan Lemp. They're crossing state lines and breaking federal law. All of these may or may not be true. To be forward, none of it actually matters when it comes to this. You want to talk about those issues? Discuss them separately. This issue has to be adjusted with that 4-step. Quick, QICC. Let's do that. Let's move forward. And that's it. That's it. So, all right. Libertarians believe in the NAP. Larry, you're speaking against the NAP right now. Correct yourself. I'm not speaking against the NAP. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying there's levels. There's simple levels, right? At one point, if I get in your face, Mike, and I start doing this in your face, but I'm not hitting your face, at one point, you're going to react, period, because you're human. Even if I never touch you, I just do this, and I never touch it. Just get in your face, I'm moving your space, and I start doing this. At one point, you're going to swat me. That's going to happen at one point. And you might go, wow, he kind of broke the nap. Larry never talked to you. Larry never hit you. Yeah, but at one point, you're going to react because you're human, Mike. You're going to. And even though you probably shouldn't have hit me, I kind of deserved it. I kind of deserved it. I'm saying there's gray to this. It's not black and white, pun intended. It's not black and white. It's gray. So I'm not going to correct myself. I'm saying I don't like the violence. I'm just saying I get it. And if I have some empathy with the people, maybe they'll stop. Maybe we cannot make it go worse. That's what I'm saying. All right. Hold on. Let's go and grab a couple more. I love this one. First, they trampled our rights to keep us safe from a virus. Now they're trampling our rights to keep us safe, keep themselves safe from their own tyranny. Well done, Jose. Well done, Jose. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. Insurance is going to pay for the theft of merchandise. Some of it will. Look, insurance isn't perfect. I'm exaggerating a bit when I say it'll pay 100%. What I'm saying is, not all of it will be paid for. It's still bad. I'm just saying it's not disgusting compared to what they're doing. They're trying to equate a system that crushes people daily with people who burn parts of a city once. They're not equal. There is a difference between assault and murder. They're both bad. I don't want you to assault people, and I don't want you to murder people, but murder is worse. That's what I'm trying to, and that's where I'm going back with Mike. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying it's gray, and there's a difference. Assault is assault and sucks, and please don't assault people. But if I have to decide between assault and murder, I'll take assault. I'll take assault. They're not the same. And the murderer who kills people goes, well, I know I killed him, but look, he slapped that guy. No, but you still murdered the guy. The fact that someone else slaps somebody doesn't make your murder any better. And that's what they're doing. This is the distraction I'm telling you about. Well, they burned down a building. Yeah, they did. And that's bad. But that's not choking a guy to death in the street. Not the same. That's not systematically killing at least 1,000 Americans every single year, disproportionately black males every single year for the past 50 years. Not the same at all. Massive levels of difference. Massive levels of difference. and the damage they did by destroying our economy from COVID, 40 million people out of work, way worse than burning down a house or building. Far worse, not even close. The fact that you just saw kids, and I showed you kids being shot at by the National Guard. They were fired upon by their own military while they were on their own property because they weren't in the house. They were fired upon. Way worse, not even close. Way worse than burning a building down or setting cars on fire. It's not even close. It's assault versus mass murder. It's not even close. So that's where I'm going with it. I hope that's clear. I hope that's clear. Yes, news is loving this. They can't get enough. They can't get enough. Absolutely. 100%. Sorry. I know it's serious. I do get sarcastic sometimes. I do. I'm sorry. Sometimes I have to try this. Yeah. Unfortunately, throwing more than water at cops. I agree. It's bad, but the cops are the ones who are armed. They're the ones ready. They're the ones ready to fight and deal with this. You know? Libertarians support Antifa. Absolutely not, Ed. Don't go there. Not true. Absolutely not. What I said was, don't let that distract you. That's what I said. I didn't say we support Antifa. I did not say that. I didn't say Antifa wasn't there. I never said that. What I said is people are trying to do that as a way of distracting you from fixing the problem. Now, if you want to deal with Antifa, deal with Antifa. It's a separate issue. That's all I'm saying. It's a separate issue. I'm not saying that we support Antifa at all. What I'm saying is separate issue. Don't get distracted. They're throwing this out there. It's alt-right or it's Antifa. They're throwing it out there as distraction. Don't get distracted. That's what I'm saying. I want to be clear on that. Okay, good. First off, you bring a water bottle, drink it, then piss in it, then throw it. You don't drive around with water bottles of piss. Aaron, I didn't know you were so good at this. Thank you. We now know. I love that. Awesome. There we go. Perfect. Yes. And libertarians agree to disagree as well. Some people will disagree with me. I know, but I'm telling you what I feel anyway. The one thing I hope most of you hear is even when you think I'm wrong, and I know many times you do, I hope you know that I'm trying my best to not allow my emotions to make me a hypocrite. I know sometimes I am. Emotions make us all hypocrites. It's human. I try not to. I try to have a real principle behind what I say. I try to be realistic in what I'm trying to achieve. And I try to be as true as I can possibly be. I don't always succeed, I know, but I try. And even if you disagree with me, I'm not mad at you. Not mad at you. You can still stay, follow, say what you got to say, call me names. I'm not going to throw you off my page. Stay. It's important. Yes. And of course, she has no plan. Of course not. She has just shut up and go back to work. That's what she has. Yes. So, yeah, civil unrest riots excluded many insurance policies. Well, you know what? Maybe we should change that. I love that. Maybe we should do that. I love that. Yes. We do not justify violations of private rights because of emotions, even if the anger is justified. Well, I'm not sure that's always true, Jason. I think sometimes we do. And it's also a cultural issue, right? It's a cultural issue also. It's both. I think it's not always true. Not just that. It's not black and white. So I'm telling you, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. There's a difference. And to try to equate is distraction. That's the issue. If you equate them as distraction, it's, well, you can't be mad at me for murdering a guy because somebody slapped somebody. Both the violations of someone's person. That's true. They're both violations of someone's person. But one is slapping someone in the head and one is murdering them. They're two separate issues. And because you slap somebody doesn't mean my murdering is any better or any worse. My murdering is still horrible. So I'm not justifying that. I'm saying stop getting distracted. People are being murdered systematically. They're taking away our rights systematically. They're literally now creating more and more lockdowns because shut up and sit in your house. I'm not going to focus on someone's building got burned down. Just not. I'm not going to focus on you slapping somebody in the head if I'm out there murdering people. Focus on the murderer first. We'll get back to the head slapping guy. We'll get back to that later. True, they just kill unarmed people with fake money. That's true also. Yes, also true. Yes. Where am I? We definitely don't. Larry's words of the rest of us. I agree, Mike. My words are my words. I hope you at least understand me. If that's it, I hope you at least understand what I'm saying. Even if you disagree, hope you at least get where I'm coming from. Even if you disagree. I just think that's really that's the issue. I hope you still get where I'm coming from. And some of you will agree with me on many things and not on this one. I get it. And the next thing I say, you're like, that thing, I'm with you again, Larry. But that other thing, no, we're not on the same page. You can still stay. I hope you stay. Please stay. Illinois and California just asked Trump to federalize the National Guard units. Of course. Yep, absolutely. Of course. More and more violence. 100%. Larry, I don't agree with everything you're saying. I know. Nancy, I still love you. Doesn't change. I still love you. It's where I come from. It's what I feel. All right. You're making really great points, Larry. I hope people see this. Yeah, because you know what? Here's what I'll say. For those of you who disagree, and I know a bunch of you do, at least I came to you with a plan. I did. I came to you with a 4-point plan. Here's how we fix this. If you think I'm wrong, awesome. Show me a better plan. Fix my plan. Give me a better idea. Absolutely. I'm in. I just want this fixed. If I'm wrong, Mike, if I'm wrong and you got a better plan, brother, I'm in. Show me the plan. I'm in. If you can adjust my plan, I'm in. I just want this to be fixed. And what I haven't heard from any leader is a plan. All I've heard is blame Trump. I've heard that a lot, right? Or blame the governors, or blame Antifa, or blame the alt-right, or blame all cops, or blame that guy, or blame somebody else. That's all I hear. That's not a plan. That's blaming people. That doesn't help anybody. Or worse, let's go vote them all out. Vote who out? They're all on the same team for this. The Republicans and Democrats are doing exactly the same thing. They love their law enforcement. They've changed nothing. They've decided that cops are a protected class, worse than any other protected class we ever had. And that's it. So we got to do something. You got a better plan. I'm in. I'm in. Let's see. We all pay for insurance. Also very true. We all pay for insurance. You're right. And we also all pay for the debt we're coming up from COVID too. So we're doing all that. Yes. So Larry is certainly not promoting violence and rioting, but what he's saying is he understands it. He understands the reaction, as we all should. People are pissed. They have a right to be. That's what I'm saying, Jason. And I'm saying it, if I was a governor or if I was a mayor and it was my city that was burning, the last thing I'd be saying is, get back in your house. I'm bringing the troops in. Why would I match violence with violence? Why is that the right answer? That's a terrible answer. Instead, I'd say, I hear you guys. I screwed up. Let's fix this. Send me the leaders of your groups and your movements. Let's have us sit down and fix this. Let's make this work. That's what I want to do. Because once we collapse and go back into our homes, and we saw this with Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street was brilliant. I mean, the people, how they dealt with it. They said, sit in this area and we'll teach you how you can do it. Occupy Wall Street, by the way, wasn't on Wall Street. It was in a separate area, park, next about 2 blocks from Wall Street. So that's where they sat there. They sat there and did drum circles and yelled and screamed and did signs, whatever. And whatever, a couple of weeks later, it died out because they did nothing but just surround them by cops. And they went home eventually and nothing changed. Brilliant. Just do nothing. Brilliant. This one, they'll fight. People eventually get tired and go home. The problem they didn't count on is, you kept us home and we don't have jobs. So because you got 40 million Americans with jobs, we have nothing better to do, particularly the youth. They want some kind of purpose or some issue, so they go out and do this. We set this up. We prepped it and then lit a match and I'm disgusted and shocked. We set it up. How can we possibly be upset? Of course not promoting violence. There's a difference. Understanding something doesn't mean you agree with it. Showing empathy with someone doesn't mean sympathy. It means understanding. I'm trying to stop the violence, not match violence for violence. All right. Okay. Let's see. George Soros will be upset with you if you pull out the troops. He might be. I don't really care. Fine. Let him be upset. Let him be upset. Absolutely. All right. See what Larry does. He will look at it in many points of views to have an understanding situation where many politicians don't bother looking at points of view. Yes, I think, Daniel, most politicians are only looking for a quick way of gaining points. Most of them are short-term thinkers, and that's it. Short-term thinkers, and that's it. I'm trying to make something that's going to actually work over the course of time so I don't have to ever say this ever again. So we can just go through this and do this. It is important. We can do this. If you notice, and many of you don't because you get caught in the emotion of it. I do too. It isn't just you. It's me too. I get caught in it also. We get caught in the emotion of it, and we jump on one side, and we shake our fist and get angry at the other side. And as long as we can punish the other side or validate our side, we're good and we think we're fine. And we can go back to the next battle we have. I don't want to keep fighting the same battle. If you don't fix the problem, you get to keep fighting the battle. If you keep getting to fight the battle, these politicians get to keep blaming people and being your heroes, right? So she can just go on and yell, Trump is evil. Trump can just yell, Obama was evil. And each side yells that each one is evil and it's all their fault. And then we feel like we're on the right side. I don't want to be on the other side. I want to fix a problem. I know crazy. It's crazy. Yes. I'm doing that. I'm doing markers. Okay, I'll buy that. All right, good. All right, let's see here if I can get through here. I got through a bunch of these. How can we have leaders when they are all politicians and they only care about keeping their power? William, this is the issue that I was just talking about that I can't stand. I can't stand the fact that now they're in charge, so now they're my cops, and now you better listen. But when they weren't in charge and they were someone else's cops, damn cops, blah, 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 right? So cops were evil when she wasn't the mayor. Now she's the mayor, and cops are heroic and brave. How'd that happen? Because now she's in charge. This drives me crazy. I will say it always. I sometimes sound either pro-cop or anti-cop. I know I sound that way, but I'm actually neither. My father was in law enforcement. My mother was a victim of the drug war. I've seen cops on both sides. Cops are just humans. They're just people. It's a crappy racist system that we can fix and we should fix, which encourages racism and encourages racists. But cops are just people like anybody else. If anyone else was in that same system, they'd act the same way. They'd act the same way. Let's adjust it and shift it and change it, and we can, and we can make it work. I will think that way always, whether I'm the governor, the mayor, or just some guy, preaching at you on Facebook. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Matt. I'm trying my best to do this. Absolutely. Yes. Police presence. Yes. Absolutely. Incites more violence. Telling business owners to close their business during a riot is insane. That's what happened in Philadelphia. There was actually a video out. I forgot who showed it. I forgot who showed. Damn, I forgot. It might have been Eric July who showed the video of a guy who's going to a store and he's got a shotgun. Drives his car up to a store, pulls out a shotgun, fires a couple rounds. The looters run away. Protect your property. We had more of that. We had more Second Amendment. This would be better. Be better. I know it sounds crazy, but it would be better. Yes. Yes. No plan on any level of government. Only hollow words. This is the problem. Only rhetoric. Rhetoric isn't enough. You gotta have. We've had rhetoric for 50 years. Democratic rhetoric on this has been amazing for 50 years and has been amazing rhetoric and has done absolutely nothing. Just rhetoric, great rhetoric. If you read what the Democrats say, oh, amazing. Look at what they're saying. What are they doing? Oh, nothing. No, that's just talk. They're going to do nothing. But man, a talk is amazing. Great talk. No actual plans, no actual change. Absolutely, 100%. There's a difference between a libertarian and Republicans, Republicans. Thank you. Some to change system by voting more L's. Susie, I agree completely. This is what I'm talking about. Right now, this is the issue. Yes. Cops in some areas are taking a knee. Why didn't you lead with that kind of humility? Yes. See, I'm not anti-cop. Some cops are getting it. There are some forces that are actually pretty good. All right. Relatively, look at like the Boston police force. Not a bad police force when it comes to major cities. Not bad at all. Right? They have two different cops. One cop is kind of more the heavy, and one is the kind of one, the more talkative one that calms. One is in uniform with all the equipment. One is in khakis and a shirt. I'm not joking. I mean, that's how they do it. They're saying, do I need to use a soft? Do I gotta go hard? So they can go either way. They can deal with it either way. And that's how police forces should be, right? Cops have a very tough job. I mean, they deal with all kind of terrible stuff all kind of horrible things. They have a terrible, tough job. It's just, isn't that dangerous to be forward, right? I mean, a cop hasn't been killed by a bad guy in New York City in 3 years, 4 years, something like that. But it's still a horrible, difficult job. So I get it. I like when cops go, you know what? Let me take a knee. Let me say I'm not perfect either. Let me do that to show you that I get it. I don't have to agree with it. I take the knee to show empathy. Empathy and sympathy are two separate things. Sympathy says, I feel sorry for you. Empathy just says, I get it. See where you're coming from. I may not agree where you went. I may not agree with that. But I get where you're coming from. I disagree where you went. Let's bring you back. That's just empathy. Versus you went there, hammer. Hammer is no empathy. Yes. They don't know how to say sorry. They only know how to push it to the next person. Joe, oh my God, yes. Absolutely so true. I wish that wasn't true, but it's so true. So true. All right. I listen to you because you look around, not one side against or other. A Super Bowl view, not a coin. Thank you. I'm trying to not care about the left or the right. Thank you, Mary Jo. I appreciate that. Yes. The people who are riding the same people who vote Democrat again and again. Sadly, a lot of that's true. I think a lot of that is true. There are a lot of young people who tend to vote Democrat. A lot of people of color who tend to vote Democrat. That's true. And I think that's what sadly Killer Mike was saying. I mean, Killer Mike's brilliant. And he just said, let's just vote him out. We're still going to vote more Democrats in? It's not going to change anything. Democrats are as bad as Republicans here. At the city level, they're worse. At the city level, they're worse. Totally agree, Jimmy. I wish that wasn't true, but I think you're right. Yes, we need more libertarians. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. I really believe Larry can be the force for change. Let's get him in there. New York State governor. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, you should. I'm with you. Good. All right. Yes, seriously, how is system racist? I'm sorry, Damon. I did cover it from beginning to end. I can give you a little bit if I could. The system is racist because it was built upon the war on drugs. The war on drugs was created specifically to keep down blacks and Puerto Ricans. I'm not making that up. You can do your own homework. Nixon said it. It's on tape. His words. That creates the system was to put down blacks and Hispanics. That was what it was built upon. When that was built upon that, what happened is now you add civil asset forfeiture, which means the police force has to go capture things to support its own departments. So where are you going to hunt? You're not going to hunt in rich white neighborhoods because they don't carry cash, so not lucrative. They have lawyers, so you might get sued. They vote. That's a problem because you might get voted out if you're a sheriff or mayor. They know politicians. It doesn't make sense. So where do you hunt? You hunt in poor black and brown communities. People who don't trust banks, so they carry cash. People who is where you buy the drugs is in those areas, so there's all cash business. Small businesses carry cash, and many of them can't vote. Many of them are immigrants. Many of them don't know the law, so it's just easier to hunt there. So they start hunting there for literally years. They begin to hunt in the same place for years. So if you've been arresting brown and black people for the past 10 years, you start thinking brown and black people are bad. It's normal, right? It's very easy, right, for that to happen. Very easy for that to happen. That's why the system is racist. It's built upon that idea of police raising money for the war on drugs to keep black and brown people down. And it's been doing it now for about 30, 40 years, 50 years now. That's why the system is racist. I don't think the average guy or gal who goes to the police force assumes, I can't wait to kill people of color at all. I mean, is there one crazy guy? I'm sure there's one crazy guy. But the average person is not any more racist than anybody else. But now you've been there for 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah, you start becoming because the system is making you that. It's what happens. If you think I'm making it up, ask cops. They'll tell you. I know many of them. My father was one. I know many of them. They tell you that. Yeah, they do. It's very common. The system makes it. I had Sergeant Dorsey on the show about 4 days ago, and she mentioned it. She said the system turns you that way. She said it, and she's a retired LAPD cop. It's common, Damon. It is how it works. I'm not blaming you, the individual. I don't want you to feel racist. I'm not blaming the individual cop. I don't care about blame. I want change. And if we change the system, people act differently. I hope at least, if you disagree, Damon, I hope at least I answered your question at least. So, why are Democrat-run cities so violent? All cities Democrat-run, aren't they? I think they're all Democrat-run. The vast majority of cities are our Democrat run. Yes. Was it that President Johnson said when he implemented his war on poverty? I don't think so. I think President Johnson believed that he was doing the right thing. The war on poverty is terrible. It has completely trashed brown and black communities. I mean, terrible. But I believe that Johnson thought he was doing the right thing. But it was terrible. Nixon actually said that because Nixon started the war on drugs. The war on poverty, I think Johnson thought was going to be good. That's from what I hear. I believe he thought it was going to be good. Nixon knew what he was doing in that case. It's two different things. I go back to actually Cuomo versus, for those of you in New York, Cuomo versus de Blasio. Cuomo's just a bad person. He's bad and he's trying to hurt people, doesn't care about people. He's a bad person. De Blasio actually thinks he's smarter than everyone and believes he's right and he's protecting us. Their policies both are terrible, and they're terrible leaders and terrible mayors and terrible governors. However, I think they're different people. I think Governor Cuomo is a bad person who doesn't care about people and is just selfish and terrible. I think de Blasio thinks he's our savior. I think he believes he's actually helping us and that we need him, and that without him, what would he do? So again, both end up badly. I think they just think differently about it. Yes. Okay. Yes, if you guys actually want to hear, I actually did something on YouTube. I'll post it on this later. I did a YouTube piece, The War on Drugs, a talk in 2016, about 4 years ago at Columbia University, and I explained the war on drugs. It's about 20 minutes or so, and then I went into the war on terror, another 20 minutes. So I went the entire thing. I'll post it here later. You can please check that out. Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you. Yes, that's why that's the reason why. I hope at least it was clear if you disagree. So, yes. All right. So Cuomo's a bad person. I agree. De Blasio, I'm not sure if he's racist. Different kind of racist when it comes to de Blasio. Still, yes, but different type, but yes. All right, guys, I did about 90 minutes here. I hope I answered most of your questions. I will put that Columbia piece in here if you care about what I talked about. I really hope I was clear at least. I tried my best to give you my thought process. I hope it was clear. And remember, we can fix this quick. QICC. End qualified immunity. Insurance, individual insurance for cops. Get cannabis off of Schedule 1. End civil asset forfeiture. And we'll begin to break this system. It will absolutely work. Thank you, guys.